You can be seated. Well, welcome. My name is Nick. I am one of the pastors here today. We believe church should be relevant, simple, and real. I want to welcome all those watching online with us too. We're so glad you're watching from Destin because that's where most of you are. So anyway, we don't judge you. Yes, we do. So anyway, we really are. We're glad you're here today. And we are starting to wrap up our series, Heavy. We've got 2 weeks left, and it's this week and next week, and we're going to be hitting the topic of pressure. That it's something that every single person, if you're here today, whether you're 5 or 15 or 55 or 505, you feel pressure. That it's one of those things that pressure is so unique because it's not a matter of when you feel pressure, because isn't it true we all feel pressure all the time? We can just handle it a little bit better than other times. It's not a matter of if you feel pressure, because again, we always feel pressure. There's always a weight on us with pressure. The question is not whether we're carrying weight. It's whether we have the strength with which to carry it. And so we're going to talk about this thing that I believe is so relevant to all of us, and hopefully today is so helpful. But before we get there, I want to define it. We're going to define pressure is this: the continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. That there is a force, there is this thing that is on all of us, and while you can't feel it per se in a physical way, doesn't it feel like it's physical? That if you would go a little bit deeper, that it's probably a mental or emotional way that you feel physically. And depending on where you're at, stress and pressure, they are so real that it's actually one of the main things that causes health problems in America today. That if you look at stress and pressure, the pressure to succeed, pressure to perform, pressure to kind of do something that you've always done before, step into something, pressure to kind of do maybe what you've never done before, whatever that is, all of us feel pressure. And if we're not careful, the weight of pressure over time will destroy you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And it will move you to places you never thought you would go. Because pressure is one of those things, and we're going to put it up here. It's all over the place. It's just not one area. It's just not one kind of part. In fact, pressure is emotional. That some of you have emotional pressure right now. That you feel like you should feel like something happened and you don't feel bad, but you feel stressed out because you don't feel bad, right? Which is backwards. So you actually feel bad for not feeling bad. It's an emotional pressure. You have that. There's emotional pressure to kind of perform in some ways. There's relational pressure. That you feel like you need to be there for somebody. You need to do something for other people. You have relationship issues with a spouse or kids, and there's all this pressure, isn't there? Pressure for some of you to be somebody who you feel like you're not. As a matter of fact, in this room right now, there's some of you feel like you've got to pretend around some people. Because there are expectations, and maybe you would never define it like this, but there's pressure to be a person that you would say in the quietness of your own spirit and your own heart is not really you, and you step up and you perform. Because that's what you feel like you're supposed to do, but in your own heart and your own mind, there's a weight there that's carrying you down. There's sexual pressure. Pressure to perform, especially if you're not married and you got a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and there's this pressure that if I don't compromise or if I don't do that or if I don't perform in a certain way, then he or she won't come back, and there's unfortunately even pressure inside of a marriage is with that comes. That there's pressure in there to perform in certain different ways, and it can weigh on us. There's financial pressure. You just look at the economy right now, you look at the job market right now, and in this room right now, there's probably people with financial pressures. You've got debt or you've got issues or you're looking ahead, and you don't have them right now, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what if? What if I lose my job? How am I going to provide for my family? How am I going to provide for my kids? There's pressure. Professional pressure to get a new job or to get a job. To kind of be that person, to kind of perform, that maybe you've got a parent, a mom or a dad or a spouse who's putting pressure on you and say, shouldn't you do better? And shouldn't you have been farther by now? And I thought you'd get a better job, and I thought you'd be more than this. Maybe for some of you, it's a pressure from your childhood where your parents spoke to you in a young age, maybe at 10 or 14 or 15 or whatever, and they said something to you, and you have this pressure to perform and achieve and get more and more and more and more and more, and you're trying to appease somebody who's long gone in your life. It's pressure. And if we're being honest, I think it's misplaced, but there's even spiritual pressure. Pressure that other Christians maybe put upon you or other people put upon you, and you feel like you've got to perform in front of them. And so you find yourself compromising maybe or behaving in ways that you never thought you probably should or you feel comfortable with. Why? If you've ever been in a restaurant and maybe you don't normally pray in public, but all of a sudden you see the church people come in and you're like, oh, shoot, okay, now I got to pray. Okay, all the kids, let's hold hands. And all your kids are going, why are we doing this? You're like, shut up, just be cool. Okay, let's pray. You know, like there's pressure, right? We do it all the time. It's constant, and that's silly, and that's thing. But somewhere along the way, there were some expectations that were passed along all of us. And it's pressure to perform. In fact, if we're not careful, every single one of these things, the weight of the pressure will crush the relationship every time. It's why maybe some of you have walked away from God. Because somewhere along the way, you were told that there's a how-to list. And there was pressure to perform, and you feel like you couldn't perform. You feel like you couldn't live up to the expectations that God put on you. So it's just easier to walk away. It's just easier not to go to church. It's just easier not to feel like a failure, not to show up every single week and feel like, wow, I messed it up again. And if that's you, I'm so glad you're here today. As a matter of fact, we started River Lake for you. We want a church where you could belong before you believe, and you could show up and be broken. That's why we've got that relevant, simple, real, because I try to talk all about my brokenness, because if I'm being transparent 100%, man, I feel like there's spiritual pressure on me as a pastor, and I don't do it all the time. But wherever you're at, whatever you're going through, again, whether you're 5 or 55, all of us, we have pressure. And if we don't deal with it well, it will crush and kill everything that we hold on to in value. So today, I want to look at a story. If you got a Bible, you can turn to 1 Samuel chapter 29. We're going to get there here in a minute. But we're going to look at a story of David. And when I speak of David, if you grew up in church, you probably know the story of David and Goliath. That's a great one. Love that story. Matter of fact, in about 6 or 7 weeks, we're going to come back and walk through that story from a very different vantage point. I can't wait. You may have heard the story of David and Bathsheba and how that kind of went tragically south, and maybe some other stories of David. But I want to read you a story that probably doesn't get a lot of press, but I think is so influential, and we get a behind-the-scenes look. See, what I find is it's easy to pretend to be one thing publicly, but it's the behind the scenes that really shows somebody their true character. And in this story, we get a peek behind the scenes into David's life, into who he really was. And so at the end of the day, we're going to look at this story, but I'm going to do something really different. I'm going to tell you how it ends. I'm going to try to take all the pressure off the story before we go into it. So here's the story in a 30-second nutshell. David's going to want to fight a battle he shouldn't want to fight. He's going to be told no, and he's going to go home. It's going to be an awesome blessing for him, because while he was gone, his family was captured, his town was burned down, and all of his stuff was taken and run off with. His friends want to kill him, his boss is not super excited, and his family is very paranoid, but it all works out okay. In fact, David catches all of them, kills all of them, takes all the stuff, and zippity-doo-dah, he has a whole lot of extra stuff. Let's just wrap up church and go home right now. You know, now that's how the story is. So as we walk through it, I just don't want you to worry about it. God's got it. That as we walk through the story, I want you to know, hey, listen, God's got it. It's going to be okay. But as you walk through it, sometimes we forget that. As you walk through your story, sometimes we forget that God's got it, don't we? And so I want to pick up. It's 1 Samuel 29, and we're going to pick up this story. And here's what it says. The Philistines gathered all their forces at Aphek, and Israel camped by the spring of Jezreel. And so there's going to be a big battle here. And in this moment, the background is, if you read the story of David, David has actually been running from Saul, his king, the Israelite, and has actually ran so far, he's actually joined the Philistine forces. He is on the other side of God's blessing at this moment, wanting to partner with the enemy, and in God's grace, God's going to save him from that and tell him to go home. As I said, we already told you, he's going to tell him to go home. But the Philistine forces are there, and they're fighting against Israel. This will be the battle that Saul will die, that Jonathan will die, and all of Saul's children will die. The kingdom will be wiped out on many levels. And David is rescued from it, but David is on the Philistine side. He's been fighting with the Philistines, with them, with his enemies for 1 year, and right now he is there. And the verse goes on, it says this: the commanders of the Philistines asked, what about the Hebrews? Now, I'm gonna interpret a little bit, but I have to imagine at some point, the Philistine army generals, there's several generals, they're out there, and they're on different sides, okay? So you've got, the Philistine side, they're over here, it says they camped over here, and you got the Israelite army over there, and the generals of the Philistines, they're taking stock, they're going, okay, who do we got? Okay, we got Billy over there, and we got Joe over there, and we got Tom, that probably wasn't their real names, but we got Tom back over there leading an army, we got so-and-so over there, and they're kind of counting up all the forces, and at some point, one of the generals looks back and goes, hold up. Is that David? Is that the Hebrew guy? Is that the dude that killed Goliath, our biggest man? Is that the guy that there was this song that they sang? We read this in a different section, but there was a song that they would sing. Saul killed his thousands, David his 10,000s. And when they say the 10,000s, they mean 10,000 Philistines. Like, they're pausing, and I think rightly so, and they're asking the question, is that really the guy that we should trust behind us, okay? So we got the Israelites in front of us, but it's okay, we're fine. We got an Israelite behind us. We got a Hebrew behind us. And they asked the question. I think they should. And if we had time, we would read the story. It's fascinating because there's so much in there from a leadership standpoint. But they get in a discussion about whether David really should be protecting their rear, and they decide, you know what, we're going to pass. Thank you, David. We do not need your services. We feel much safer if you would not be behind us in war. We're okay. Bye. And he's looked over. Like some of you right here today. You feel looked over. You feel like you've been passed up upon. And David gets really frustrated and really angry. And he asks the question, what have I done? I've been so faithful to you. I've been so faithful to my boss. He feels pressure to perform for his boss, like some of you feel pressure to perform for your boss. He's got a brand new boss. He wants to impress him. He wants to do all these things, and they have a conversation when his boss says, go back and go home, and here's what it says. Achish answered, I know that you have been as pleasing in my eyes as an angel of God. I don't know if you know much about compliments, but guys, that's a great pickup line, okay? Just saying right now. You just look at it, you've been pleasing in my eyes as an angel. Anyway, so that'd be great for your wife, you steal that, I read the Bible and I thought of you. So anyway, nevertheless, the Philistine commanders have said, he must not go up with us to battle. His boss, because there's different levels, you got generals and commanders and leaders and the whole deal. His boss looks at David and says, listen, you have been amazing. It is not about you, it's me. It's the old breakup song, it's not you, it's me. You can't come with us. You've got to go home. And in that moment, David's pressure switches. Because before him, it was a pressure to perform, right? He was going into battle. This is going to be the first time that they see him kind of whole deal. He wants to impress his boss, like the first day of work. You want to impress your boss. And his pressure switches now from impress my boss to, okay, but I got mouths to feed, and this is how I make my money. This is how I provide for my family. We go raiding parties, and it's not the greatest thing, but we go to raiding parties, we steal stuff, we take stuff, we plunder. This is my deal. And his pressure switches from, I got to please my boss, to how am I going to feed my family, and what is my wife going to think, and is my spouse going to think that I'm a loser because I can't even do the one thing that I'm good at right? And what are my kids going to eat, and what are my kids going to think? And it's a very different set of pressures that are put up on him. But don't worry about David. He's fine. God's got it. He'll be okay. And in fact, what he doesn't know right now is in the midst of him arguing and fighting for one thing in his life, in the background, in his hometown, there are men that are pillaging his home. They are ransacking it, taking his wives, taking his kids, taking his stuffs, burning his houses to the ground, and walking away. While he's fighting for one thing, something else is happening at home. And as I was reading this, I thought, what better image in our world right now than this right here? Because there are so many men who are fighting the wrong battles. David wants to be fighting against the Israelites, his own people, when he should be home protecting his family. So many, and I'm going to speak to men here real quick because I need you to pay. So many men, you are fighting for your boss and your career and your job, all the while you've left your family unprotected and somebody is ransacking your home. Not literally. But I sit in my office and I hear story after story after story of one of the spouses, normally the husband, who will say, I worked and 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 I worked. And I was over here fighting these battles at work and making money and doing stuff, all to come home, and now my spouse is gone. I don't recognize my kids. I don't recognize what's going on. I don't do that, and I just want to pause. I want you to ask the question, are you fighting the right battles? I'm sure you're fighting a battle today. Nobody wakes up and says, you know what, Nick, I've got too much money, too much time, and too much joy. I don't know what to do with myself. No one does that, okay? Everyone in here, I don't care who you are, I don't care how old you are, because that's the thing with stress, right? Everyone in here, you're fighting battles. You're fighting relational battles, emotional battles, spiritual battles, financial battles, professional battles. You're fighting battles. The question is, are you fighting the right battles? Because here's the deal, don't miss this. If David would have got what he wanted, he would have lost what he loved. If he would have got what he wanted, if he would have stayed there and fought the battle and did the whole thing, if he would have got what he wanted, he would have gone home and lost what he loved. Some people, you're fighting for things that you ultimately want only at the end of it to get exactly what you want. You're going to go home. You're not going to recognize your kids. And your spouse is going to be gone. We're going to talk about this in a few weeks, but gentlemen, let me just say something really quickly. I'm picking on guys a little bit, but I'm passionate about this. If you don't appreciate your spouse, somebody else will. I promise you. Fight the right battles. I know you're fighting, but are you willing to ask the question, God, am I at the right place? See, here is the thing. David wanted to be there, but he wasn't supposed to be. And he didn't know it at the time. No. He's just walking through life. But God had him. So God sends him home. The next verse. So David and his men got up early in the morning to go back to the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines went up to Jezreel. So he does what he's supposed to do. He didn't fight the wrong battles. He kind of trusted in that process. And he goes home. And it's so good, isn't it? Because again, it's a 3-day journey. It's about 75 miles away from where he was to where he lived, to where he was going back, to Ziklag. And it takes him a while. And in that time, I guarantee you, again, he's feeling pressure. He's feeling the pressure of going home, going, how am I going to tell my wife I failed? How am I going to tell my wife that I got nothing? I showed up. How am I going to tell my wife that they looked at all the other fighting men and they said, we want everybody but you? How am I going to look at my kids? He has pressure. Here's the craziest part about pressure, though. See, you know the story. David's going to be fine because God's got this. But it's crazy how often and how quickly pressures can shift. Because while David's worrying about what his family's going to think about his supposed failed endeavor, in a few days he's going to have a very different pressure. And the very thing that he's focused on right now, the very thing that he thinks is so important, the very thing that he's stressing about and can't handle, and what am I going to say to my family, whatever. Listen, you know the story, you know how it ends. That's why I told you ahead of time. He's going to discover that they're gone and they're not even there. And all of a sudden, his failed business attempt is irrelevant because he's got a new set of pressures. In fact, the next chapter, here's what it says. It says, when David and his men reached Ziklag, that's their hometown, they found it destroyed by the fire, and their wives and sons and daughters were taken captive. All of a sudden, pressure shifted. It's no longer about my failed business adventure. It doesn't matter anymore. Now it's about, is my wife okay? Are my kids okay? Where is my stuff? My house is burnt down. All of a sudden, and isn't it so true that some of the very things that you're stressing about right now, a year from now, won't even matter? You've had seasons like that. Where the very things, like when you were 20, let's be honest, all the people that are like 30 and older, okay, really quickly. Just think back for a second when you were 20. Was any of the things that you stressed about at 20 matter? I mean, do you ever look back and go, yeah, when I was 20, that's when I really messed up my life. That's when everything, no. If you're 25, when you were 13 in high school, all the things that you stressed about, being popular, finding a date, do all those things matter now? No. See, that's the deceptive thing about stress. It makes you feel the weight of something that's not real. It makes you feel as if it's the world's going to come to an end. The reality is it's not, because in a moment with a change of a circumstance, the very thing that you're sitting here right now, so stressed about, so worried about, so feeling like out of control, God, where are you? What's going on? In a moment, it can all change. And David's pressure changed, because now his pressure is this. He's the big, bad 1,000-man killer, 10,000-man killer. And his wives know that. That's why they're with him. And his kids have probably heard stories. And now his pressure is Daddy going to save me? Is my husband going to come after me? Now his pressure is, can I save my family? It's no longer, can I provide for them? And it's a very different level of pressure. And what you see is the pressures is building in his life. Some of you can relate because you're in a season right now where it feels like every week there's something worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And the pressure keeps changing and shifting in your world. And if that wasn't bad enough, it gets worse. It says David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. I don't know if they didn't like their wives, okay? Nobody mentions their wives right there. That's weird for me. I read that like several times. I'm like, but they're really upset about their kids. But again, David's pressure goes even deeper. Because now, all the people that he counted on to trust, all the people that were his support, his friends, his family, his support system, his church, gone. No, the very people that he relied on are the very people that want to kill him now. And again, pressure changed. Now it went from, can I save my family, which is a very real pressure, to, am I going to live to the end of the day? Am I going to survive this day? Because I feel pressure. And I have not performed at the level that I feel like I was supposed to. And he feels pressure. Some of you here today, you feel pressure. And in the next few verses, we're going to discover how he handles it. Because you get to see a person's character when they're under pressure, don't you? You get to see, and we get a behind-the-scenes look on how he handled this situation. And I think he gives us an insight. He gives us this kind of behind-the-scenes look a little bit in how do you handle pressure, especially when everything and everybody seems to be against you. And all this pressure, here's what it says. But David found strength in the Lord his God. Now that word found is interesting. Because it doesn't say that he went to the gym and started pumping some weight and he got stronger. It doesn't say that he went out and over a period of 8 months, as all of a sudden he was getting stronger. It says that he found the strength in somebody other than himself. See, it's a lot like, I have 5 kids because I really like my wife and she likes me and that's awesome. So I got 5 kids and the 4th is a little girl named Emma. She's awesome. Love her. We were carrying groceries in, and if you've got kids, you probably had something similar happen to this. And my kids, they always want to help us carrying groceries, mainly because we threaten them, but that's a different story, okay? So they're always very excited about helping carrying groceries. And so we had that moment, and we got the groceries in the back of the van, the whole deal, and my sweet little 5-year-old Emma walks up and goes, Dad, I want to help. I was like, okay, cool. And I was like going to hand her a bag, and she goes, no, I got this. And she grabs this. It was a gallon of milk, but she grabs it, and she walks up and she's like, oh. And she's like holding on. The milk's sweating, okay, because it's hot outside. And she's like holding on, and it's like, oh. And she keeps talking. She goes, it's heavy, Dad. It's heavy. It's heavy. And I'm like standing next to her because I don't want to move too fast. And she's 5, so she's not moving fast at all. And she's sitting there, and she's talking, it's so heavy. Oh, goodness. She's moaning. And I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, you're going to get a hernia. Stop it. Like, I'm going to have to take you to the doctor. What happened? Well, she's got a hernia. Anyway, so it's like, she's like struggling with this. And finally, she'd made it maybe 3 feet, okay? She didn't make it far at all. And she's like, it took us 30 minutes to get 3 feet, but she's made it 3 feet. And I'm like walking slowly with her. And she finally looks up to me and she's like, Dad, I need some help. No joke. So it's about this high because that's about how tall she is. I have 57 bags in my hand, because that's me, okay? Like, I'm that guy that, like, okay, I put it around my neck, we'll get it around the back foot, we're going to hop up there. Like, it's a one-trip guy. If I can't do it in one trip, I'm not a man, and I've failed in life. So that's kind of my deal. So I've got, like, 13 bags on me right now at this whole board, and I'm not exaggerating. I took my pinky, and I went, got it. And I started walking away. And she starts running after me, okay? She's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And she started putting her hands under, like, I got you, Dad. I'm like, Thank you, child. That's super helpful, And I just wonder. I wonder how often that's what we need to do with God. That today, some of you, you're carrying something that God never intended you to carry. You're carrying stress and you're holding on to it. It's heavy. You're holding on to pressures and expectations from other people. You're holding on to things and it's heavy, it's heavy, it's heavy, it's heavy. And you're trying to get better and you're trying to get stronger and you're trying to hold on to it and you're trying to keep everything in place and you're trying to keep your family together and you're trying to keep your job together and you're trying to keep everything okay. And you. It's all about you. And you're wondering why you feel so much stress. David's holding on to this. Just feel like he looks at God and goes, God, I need you to take this off. And in God's strength, God just like starts pinky curling it. Like I got this. See, what's impossible for you is easy for God. What is heavy for you is so light for God. See, it's not about the weight. I would change the word your actually, but it's about his strength. It's not about the weight. This is 8.5 pounds, roughly. The weight's the weight. The weight's not the issue. It's who's carrying it that determines whether it's heavy or not. For me, I'll sit up here and juggle it all day. But it was never made for a 5-year-old to carry. And stress, pressure, it was never made for you to carry. You were never designed that way. See, at the end of the day, David trusted in God's providence. And providence is such a big word. It's a fancy word, theological word, but all providence really means is that God's got it and he's in control and he's going to bring things out into his good. Romans 8:28 talks about that. That in all things, God can bring about good for those who love him. And David trusted in that. David had a trust that, you know what, this is so heavy and everybody wants to kill me and I have no support, but I'm still okay. Why? Because I've got a God who is bigger than all of my problems. I've got a God who's bigger than all of my stuff. I've got a God who can carry all the weight and all the stuff. And David knew something that you know and that I know, that at the end of the day, no matter how it felt, God's got it. And he might not know how it's going to end, but he just kind of knew God's got it. And you don't have to worry about David because at the end of the day, you already know God's got it. And so the pressure of performing, the pressure to fix it, the pressure to kind of get the family, the pressure to kind of make everything okay, the pressure to kind of keep everything, get the money and the whole deal, you just let go of that and give it to somebody who's strong enough to handle it. So the question, the statement really is this: the cure for your pressure is trust in God's providence. The cure, the moment that you start to feel pressure, the moment that you start to kind of go, you feel maybe a little bit of like, oh, there's expectations on me, and what do I do with that? And if I don't, then it won't, and I better get a job, and I better find some money, or I better bring them back home, or I wish I was a better parent, or I lost an opportunity, whatever, all that stuff. The cure for it is not your strength. It's not you doing better. It's not you. You do nothing. Because that's the problem in the first place. That's where the pressure comes from, is you think you've got to do it. The cure is trust in God's goodness, in God's grace, in God's providence. That's where David found strength. He didn't get it, he just found it. And so the story ends. The story ends really nice, but you already know the end of the story, right? I already told you how it ends. He tracks them down, kills them all, brings back his stuff, and he's so abundantly blessed. I mean, like, he is so ridiculous. Like, all the stuff that he didn't lose anything. He actually got ahead of this. All the stuff that he would have gotten from the other plunder, the missed opportunity, the thing that he thought he missed out on, he got that and more. And the story ends with this verse. When David reached Ziklag, that's home again, after he was on a raiding party, he sent some of his plunder to the elders of Judah, who were his friends, saying, "Here is the gift for you from the plunder of the Lord's enemy. I have so much stuff, I'm just like giving it away." He's like the guy at the club with the dollar bills just kind of just doing this all day. Like, just, I'm just got so much money. I'm good. David understands. David's got it. David gets the fact that God ultimately has it. And the story ends great. But I want you to know, I'm going to put it back up on the screen again. If David would have got what he wanted, he'd have lost what he loved. If he'd have stayed at the battle and fought the battle, and fought for 3 or 4 days there, and then kind of got the plunder and stayed there, and then made 3 or 4 days back, by the time he got back, he would have really lost what he loved. And that's the tension right here. Is all of us in here, all of us, myself included, we have things that we want, we have ideas, we have pressures, we have things that we want or other people want for us or whatever, and we fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight for them. And we hold on to that stress, and we pick that up, and we carry it with us, and it's waiting on us. And we're not living the life that God calls us to live. And the cure for it, the habit, the way to lift the weight of stress off our lives is to trust in the providence of God. And so I want to end our time with giving you 2, I'm sure there's 100, 2 quick ways. 2 quick ways that we can trust in God. Number 1 is this, time. Number 2 is timing. That's it, time and timing. Those are the 2 things, and they sound very similar, but they're very, very different. Time and timing. See, time is essential. You can't microwave a relationship, can you? You can't fix that. If you don't have time with somebody, then you can't trust somebody. In fact, trust is a product of time, ultimately. I want you to imagine for a second here that you've got kids. For those of you who got kids, you can get this. But at some point, you probably had a babysitter. And here is, if you had to hire somebody else, you have 2 options. One is the somewhat irresponsible 16-year-old girl who loves selfies and you can't stand her Facebook feed, okay? But you know her and you like her, and she's a good kid. She's from a good family, but she's 16. Or you could hire the stranger who's 5 houses down, has ridiculously great credentials, got a college degree for it, and has been doing it for 10 years. Who do you hire? Probably the 16-year-old girl. You know why? Because you know her. Because you have a relationship with her. Because she may not be the most qualified, but she is the one that you probably trust the most. See, at the end of the day, trust has everything to do with the experience you have with somebody, more than it has to do with the qualifications they bring. Trust has everything to do with a relationship. Do you know why, when you are stressed, you try to lean into your money before God? Because you spend more time with your money. You spend more time thinking about your money. You spend more time spending your money. You spend all your time about your money. Why? Because that's ultimately your friend, and that's what you trust in. Do you know why you go to your friends instead of God? Because you spend more time with them. That you can't fabricate it, you can't microwave it. And the end of the day is, so many of us, we're carrying weight, we're carrying it around with us that we were never intended to carry, but we can't let it go. We can't give it to God because we ultimately don't trust Him. We don't have that relationship with Him to look at Him and go, okay, God, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to trust in your providence. I'm just going to walk in freedom. Because somebody's got to pick that up. And if God doesn't pick it up and I don't pick it up, who's going to pick it up? Time. So for some of you this week, I just want to encourage you. Get up in the morning. It's so simple, so hard. Spend some time with God. Get up in the morning. I don't care what you do. We focus so much on the processes instead of the person. You really think it matters what you do with God? Let me ask it a different way. You think it matters what you do with your kids? I spent all week singing Shark Diddy Doo Doo Doo. Baby Shark Diddy Doo 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 Doo. Daddy Shark. My favorite one, Grandma Shark. That is hilarious. I love that. That is awesome. Right there. I got that movement down. My kid's like, yeah. I sang that song like 47 times in a row. Baby Shark. No, I'm not going to do it. Anyway, so I could nail that song though, all right? Chris, look out, buddy. I'm going to nail it. Lead some people in worship. You think it matters? No. Do you think I care that I sang a ridiculously stupid song that he will never remember and he doesn't care about, but I spent 45 minutes with him? Do you think I care? No, I just want to be close to my kid. You think he cares? No, he just wants to be close to his dad. So when I'm encouraging you, I'm trying to be incredibly practical at the same time, trying not to put standards and stipulations that you may or may not be able to live up to. When I talk about spending time with God, I'm just saying, listen, would you just spend 10 minutes and go, hey, God, I'm just going to read the Bible, and I just want you to speak to me. And you can start in the book of John if you don't know where to start, and just start reading and just go. And there's no standard, and there's no pressure, and there's no expectations. There's no, you better read a chapter or 5 chapters or 15 chapters. You better do, like, no, just it's time. And then maybe spend 5 or 10 minutes in prayer. And again, there's no standard of, okay, pray this, and don't pray this, and don't, like, no, just spend time. You know one of the best prayers you can pray? God, I'm really upset. Like, just start there. God, I'm really confused. God, I really don't know what to do. God, I'm so frustrated right now. God, just pour your heart out to him. Quit trying to make it this wonderful, nice, neat, cute little box. I prayed for my 5 things and my 5 friends, and I prayed for my, like, stop pretending. Just sit with your heavenly Father who is waiting with a pinky finger to lift up all the stress and go, I got this. Time. Last one's timing, though. Timing is just as important as time. Matter of fact, if you're new here and maybe you're not a Christian or maybe you're just kind of doing this whole thing, time's probably your issue. But if you've been a Christian for a while, timing might be your bigger issue. Because timing is incredibly important, isn't it? See, I was thinking about this whole story, and as you read it and you go a little bit deeper, what we see is David prayed about his second battle. He didn't pray about his first one. At least we don't have a recollection of that. It seems like he just thought the first one was a good idea, a good opportunity, a good business venture. So he's like, yeah, that's what I want to do with my life. That's where I'm going to go. That's what I want to pursue. And God was completely out of it. The second one, he's like, God, I just need to know what you want me to do. And I wonder if there's some people in here today that you're carrying the weight and the expectations and pressures of opportunities that God didn't want you to carry in the first place. You're carrying the weight of a relationship that God's up there going, listen, if you'd have just asked me if you wanted me to be in that relationship in the first place, I'd have told you no. I could have saved you a lot of pain and heartache. If you'd have asked me if I wanted you to do with that, your job or your finances, if you'd have asked me if I wanted you to buy that house or that car, if you'd have asked me if I wanted you to do it, listen, I could have saved you years of stress. We're carrying things that God's going, I didn't want you to carry that in the first place. But you didn't ask me that ahead of time. So God's coming back to you with a second question. Go, okay, now that you are carrying it, would you give it to me? Would you give it to me? But for some of you, would you in your time in the morning, if you're doing that, would you just ask a question? God, what do you want me to do today? What do you want me to do about this business opportunity? What do you want me to do about my debt, my addiction, my struggle, my family? God, what am I fighting for that I need to quit fighting? God, what am I carrying that I need to just let go of and just trust that you've got it, that you ultimately are good, and I can't control it. I can't bring them back. I can't fix this. I can't pay it off. I can't do it. God, what do I need to do? Just sit. Sit and let him take it off you. Because in this room, there's some people and you're carrying some stuff and it's heavy. You've got guilt and you've got shame from expectations and pressures that whether they're supposed to be on you or not, God's going, I could carry them for you. Just give it to me. Just give it to me. So this week for some of you, would you just ask the question, God, what do you want me to do? What opportunity seems great, but I need to let go of? And just trust that you've got it. Because you have a heavenly Father who's a better parent than you or me. And if I could see the strain in my child and pick up that weight off of her and gladly do it and want to do it, oh gosh, how much better, how much stronger, how much more compassionate, how much more amazing is our Heavenly Father who's looking down and seeing you struggle and seeing you strive and seeing you pretend in front of everybody else that you're okay, but inside you're dying, and the weight is killing you. The stress is killing you because somebody else or you put an expectation on you that you were never intended to carry. Today can be the day that you let go of things, that you move past things, that you look at this and you just drop it. You just let it go. You just move on. You just leave it here and go, God, I'm done. I'm walking away. That you literally, for some of you today, here's all I want you to do. I want you to grab one of those blue cards, write whatever it is you're carrying on it, and if you don't want to put it because it's personal, just put a big old X on it and just leave the dumb card here. Just leave it here. Let it be your moment. Say, God, I'm done. I'm done carrying it. Because here's the deal. If you'd have asked David in his life about that battle that he wouldn't have fought, if you'd have asked him later on in his life, do you regret missing out on that battle? Do you regret missing out on that opportunity? I believe he would tell you, it is the best thing that never happened to me. We all the time talk about the best thing that ever happened to us. That was the best thing that never happened to David. And some of you, you're trying to hold on to something. You're fighting for something that God's going, no, you don't understand. One day you will look back and go, I'm so glad I didn't get to fight that battle. I'm so glad I didn't go there. I'm so glad I didn't date her. I didn't date him. I'm so glad I didn't get that job. It went under. I'm so glad. It's the best thing that never happened to me. Quit fighting for what God is trying to free you from. Quit holding on to the pressure, to the stress, to the weight that you were never meant to carry. Jesus says, my yoke is light and I have come to set you free. To be free, free indeed. And that's the gospel. That's the offer. That you can walk out of here completely free. And for those of you who are here today and you would say, yeah, I believe in God, I just want you to know it's just a decision to let it go, to write it on the blue card, to leave it here. I don't care what you do, just leave it here. We got people to pick it up for you. I'll pick them up for you. I want you to be free. And for those of you here who you're not a Christian, say, Nick, I don't know about this whole Jesus thing. I want you to know there is a decision you can make today to enter into that relationship with God and be free to move forward and leave it here. Because the gospel is really simple. That there's a God who loves you, sent his son to die for you, and be what you could never be, to be perfect because you can't be perfect. And he was sacrificed and rose again 3 days later so that you could be free. And it says, Jesus says, if you believe in me, put your faith in me, if you make me both Lord and Savior, you are born again. You are free. Would you all stand with me? If you need to make that decision today, I want to encourage you. You don't have to pray a prayer. You don't have to do anything. It's just something that happens inside of you. We'd love to talk to you about that. You can put it on your Connect card. You can text us at 31996, Jesus 2018. But I just want to pray with you and pray for you. As we get ready to we'll back out into a world that is hostile to us, that is hostile to our peace, that constantly wants to add pressures and add stressors and add issues on you with every billboard, with every TV ad, with every conversation. It's constant and ever present. And I want you to walk this week knowing you don't have to own that. You don't have to carry any of that. Let's pray. God, thank you so much. Thank you for your grace, your mercy. Thank you for freedom. Thank you for the best things that never happened to us, whether we know them or not. I pray for those. I pray for all of us that we would make the decisions to let go of stress, to let go of pain, to let go of our problems and trust you. Trust your providence in the midst of them. We love you, Jesus, and we thank you. Amen.
If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles, if you've been hearing the same old voice it's still the same old lies. If you're trying to fill the same old holes inside, there's a better life. There's a better life. If you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. If you need freedom, saving, he's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, he's a chain breaker. We've all searched for the light of day in the dead of night. We've all found ourselves worn out from the same old fight. We've all run to things we know just ain't right. And there's a better life.